Greetings, everyone who are attending the International Research Conference on Technology, Culture, and Society. My name is Patrick Simanjuntak. I am the owner and CEO of JUNTAK Foods. And today I'll be presenting my presentation that is titled Usage of Blockchain in Agriculture and Financial Literacy of Farmers to Enhance Their Financial Sustainability. All right, so let's get on with it. One of the things that we have to see is that the number of smartphone users worldwide from year 2012 to 2021 in number of billions have increased dramatically. So if it was 1.06 billion in 2012, now in 2020 you're looking about 3.5 billion. So you're increasing in 8 years alone, it has increased by 250%. So the main takeaway from this graph is that there's a rough growth rate of 8% to 12% annually, mainly driven because of the drop in smartphone prices, and there's an increasing availability mainly from Asian-made smartphone manufacturers. And in comparison, the current world population is 7.6 billion people. So here are the global smartphone penetration. Share of the population using smartphone, as you can see here, is growing very fast. It starts out at 33.5% in 2016, so now it's 45.1%. So there's a very fast increase, mainly because there's more functionalities and because it can also be cheaper to actually stay connected by smartphone than it is by regular phone. So here you have the overview of global internet use. It's very fast. You have more and more global internet users, about 4.66 billion, where 60% of the population is connected, and there's a very fast increase number every year. So, and the average person's connected to the internet is increasing. Now it's roughly about almost 7 hours. So here is the social media use around the world, where, as you see here, you see more and more people are getting connected to the social media. All right. And in terms of mobile users versus mobile connections, the 5.2 billion, this is the combination of people who have a smartphone and just a dumb phone. Okay, so there's a huge numbers of people, and as you can see here, the average number of connections, the average is 1.52 SIM cards per person. That's because some people may have 2 or 3 SIM cards with them, right? And more people are using e-commerce. They buy and sell over the internet. So as people become more and more comfortable online, they start buying stuff as well from the internet. Here is a graph of world silicon production in the world. And as you can see here, the biggest juggernaut is in China. So China is king in silicon production. However, most of the growth is in the low and middle technology. So we're talking about chips for cell phones, for computers, not super fast ones, but the ones like high end, like supercomputers, those are still by America and other. And part of the reason why is because of the Chinese government push to become independent semiconductors. Why? Because they're trying to become self-sufficient and less reliant on the West for their silicon semiconductors. Why? This is because of the US versus China trade war effect. So, which is an irony because the bipolarization of the world have actually pushed for greater silicon production, which indirectly becomes benefit us. And we'll see why. So here, main reason is because if you look at here, there's an increase of the number of global solar production because there's an increase of production of solar semiconductors. And here you can see the solar module price has decreased in 2010, which is about $2. Now it's probably around only between 10 to 20 cents per watt. So it's very cheap now, and it continues to drop. And nowadays, it is very near to parity with electricity grid prices on a per kilowatt hour basis. So it's becoming cheaper. And this is important because that's the reason why penetration of electricity now it has become more to the remote places around the world, whether it be Sub-Sahara, in Africa, in South America, India, Indonesia, and such. And here is just a trend of the number of digital worldwide buyers. As you can see here, there's an increasing people. More than 2 billion people have transaction online. So what the takeaway from this graph is that this number of transactions is increasing, And part reason is because of COVID-19 has sped up the digital transactions. And as it increases, there's more intense interactions. We need a way to build trust between buyers and sellers. And one way to do this, is that we'll be talking later, is blockchain. And in order to accommodate the payment system here, the transfer money, there is a trend to increase in digital payments to pay via online. So part of this can be explained through blockchain. So blockchain is basically, well, we'll explain tomorrow, but here is the blockchain wallet from Q1 of 2015 to Q3 in 2018. As you can see, there's a very fast growth in the blockchain. So think of Bitcoins, Ethereum, and so forth. And now here, as you can see here, the cost for average per gigabyte for internet mobile in the world is greatly differs. So the most expensive is in North America, and the cheapest is in Northern Africa. Again, this is the average price for per gigabyte on average. Now, there is a big trend that the prices per gigabyte is decreasing and is recurring very fast. So people are more prevalent now to also start using accessing the internet through mobile phones. And now we talk about blockchain agriculture. These are the 10 possible use cases that they can think of. So it oversees farming inventory, enhance agriculture supply chains, modernize farm management software, active IoT optimization, promotes fair pricing, agriculture subsidies oversight, community-supported agriculture, mobile remittance for small farmers, greater accountability for multinationals, and incentivizing sustainable practices. So in this case, in this presentation, I will mainly focus on three different things: the fair pricing, mobile remittance for small farmers, and incentivizing sustainable practices, and maybe even community support agriculture. So, okay, so now let me explain to you what blockchain in agriculture is about. So blockchain is basically a ledger of accounts and transactions that are being stored by all participants. So it's like an online bookie. So you have a transaction where it is done electronically, tracks everything down, where it promises a reliable source of truth about the state of farms, inventories, and contracts in agriculture, where the collection of such information is often incredibly costly. And blockchain technology can track the provenance of food and thus helps create trustworthy food supply chains and build trust between producers and consumers. As a trusted way of storing data, it facilitates the use of data-driven technologies to make farming smarter. In addition, jointly used with smart contracts, it allows timely payments between stakeholders that can be triggered by data changes appearing in the blockchain. The application of blockchain technology in food supply chains, agriculture insurance, smart farming, transactions of agriculture products. So there's a huge application of blockchain agriculture. Why this is important that I bring up blockchain is that you have to understand that the world literacy rate is not as high what a lot of people think. You have to understand that even at the world, it's only 86% of the population is literate. That means you leave as much as almost 15% of the world population is illiterate. And with a population of 7.6 billion, that's 1 to 1.5 million people around the world, they are illiterate. So we have to find a way to accommodate them. And then if you look at sub-Saharan Africa, where only 65% of the population are literate, that becomes a problem. So, and how we can include them in financial inclusion, fintech helps a lot. And in this case here, if you notice, most major fintech players, they're in China. Although I have to admit that other countries are catching up fast. And if you look at the major players, Ant Financial, that is from Alibaba, and if you look at the names, a lot of them are basically Chinese companies. And so it is still a very fragmented industry. So here are the summary of trends around the world, based from all the different slides and trends graphs that I showed. One, there's an increasing trend in smartphone users in both rich and poor countries. there is an increasing trend in connectivity, mainly through mobile phones. So there's increasing social media use through mobile. There's increasing e-commerce activity over mobile, wider and increasing use of distributed electricity use through solar power. So that gives rise to blockchain technology for use in agriculture and focus on smart farmers, because now they have access to electricity even in villages. So now they are more open to that. There's an increasing number of fintech companies, and that definitely has positive influence on agriculture and farmers. And to help all this, we need to have financial literacy for farmers to borrow, transact, and track their produce. So this obviously gives liberalize and empower the farmers. And by that, as long as you can show them the money and the benefits, farmers will learn everything they need to know. And with that, you can basically encourage them to become more financially sustainable, and they can become more independent. So part of this, in order to get small farmers to be part of the community there, is that we have to increase social media interaction and transactions by farmers. This is where both farmers as the producers or buyers, they can interact, and that's how they can foster, people can borrow, transact, do business, and track their produce. And the attraction is because the more they can get socially connected, you can increase access, you can decrease their transaction costs, and they can have the ability to track their own finances. So, and also through the social media, they can look at and learn from others. So they can learn by doing, they can do mimicry, they can do as a bandwagon, and they can follow the money. And by making them more literate, they can understand that a lot of the fintech companies, they are still in evolving business models. So where right now, a lot of them are still charging for free, no money. So Paytm is in India, WhatsApp Pay is also in India. They start rolling them out. WeChat Pay is in China, Venmo, Cash App, Zelle is in the United States. So the main benefits of this is they can conduct and transact microtransactions, where if they can do that and they can transact at free cost, it helps liberate farmers from usurers, middlemen, and corrupt government officials. And through the social media interaction, it builds a community where it is self-supporting, self-policing, and self-enforcing, where if there is a bad apple, they can kick him out real quick. And obviously, this gives farmers the power to become independent, and productivity will increase, and ultimately they can help them become more financially sustainable. So it's all great. So I'm supportive of this. I fully push for farmers. And even for us, I just want you to, just for side information, here we are at JUNTAK Foods, 80% of our transactions are conducted online. And there's a huge push for that because COVID-19 is probably the biggest culprit, where more and more people, because of social distancing, and now the cost of shipping is relatively cheap, so a lot of people are more open for online transactions and sending money over the internet and stuff like that. And it has definitely helped us a lot. And I can see that happening as well. It can be successfully implemented in China, in India, Africa, South America, and as well as Southeast Asia, including Indonesia. I'm fully support that. So now we talk about the potential threats. So as it becomes more successful, I have to admit that there's a possibility that there might be government regulation that can stifle innovation. We don't know. Cybersecurity is going to be an issue because we have to realize that nothing that is created by man is perfect. So, and there might be potential government surveillance. For example, e-money issued by China, they're surveilled. And when theft occurs, who's liable? Who's liable for the loss? And if you have a question, who do you call? And the company goes bankrupt, well, how do you get your money back? So there's still a lot of questions. So it is still in shakeout mode. So right now it is unclear who would become the ultimate winner, but we can be sure several years down the road it's going to be very big. Okay. So my recommendation is, yes, you can use electronic money, but you really want to keep it as a minimum as possible. Use it as supplementary, but not yet primary method of storing your money. Don't put too much money there. Take them out. Okay. and this is references. And again, my name is Patrick Simanjuntak. Here's a short biography of myself. And I thank you for International Research Conference on Technology, Culture, and Society to invite me as a speaker today. And I hope my presentation helps a lot with you and can be useful for your use. And I strongly encourage you in your own countries to support fintech and also uses of blockchain in agriculture, because we can empower smallholders and farmers to become more independent, and it helps them with their business, and we can help them become more financially sustainable and empower them. Okay? Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.